Welcome to PNW Prop Stars, the only Seahawks-only gambling show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Coming out and find me at Clinton Bon. Oh, I've got the usual crew here on the road, and we can finally say the Rainmaker, Moneyline Rainmaker from Montana, Mr. Adam Emmert. We can finally say that, and of course, let me also bring in the parlay, the Princetonian of parlays himself, wearing his Seattle Mariners jersey for those out there watching on YouTube. Gentlemen, we are coming in off a bit of a heater. The 48-45 game maybe supplied that heat for us. I don't know, but we had a really good week. We're just streaming in with these good vibes. We're making money. We're piling up W's. Gino's doing Gino things, and we're marching down to the Saints to go take on interesting team at the most, an interesting team that might be a bit defunct. Let's toss it first to the money line Rainmaker. Adam, dude, I know you're moving about your town there, but how you feeling after the week you had, dude?
Well, I mean, obviously, all those big fat W's felt really good. The big fat W for the Seahawks over the Detroit Lions felt pretty good. But I have to say, the one thing that was a bit of a bummer about my picks is like the majority of them hit, but not for the reasons that I thought. I thought they wouldn't be throwing the ball much and it'd be a lot of running stuff and that sort of thing. So it was kind of like, well, we throw the hell out of the ball. Well, I guess we'll run the ball a lot too. So it feels a little more lucky than predictive, which doesn't make me feel quite as good about my dominant performance last week.
Hey, sometimes at the end of the day, right? You got a lot of check marks next to your name, which we'll review in a second, and that's just the way it goes with when we're picking games. And then Wilson. So, man, first of all, let's talk a little Mariners for yourself there. Where will you be watching the game? Game one in a couple of hours, actually, in about an hour. Where are you going to be perched to watch game one?
Well, I'm going to be heading next door to my neighbor's room. Got a big projector over there. Gonna check it out. So I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous, but I'm just happy to see the Mariners in the postseason, first time during my life. So
yes, let's remember, folks, the young age of 20 years old here, first Mariners appearance. So hey, dude, go Mariners. I'm a Mets fan, so Mariners, Mets, World Series, let's go. All right, so for those,
I have one question about that though. The Mariners, Mets for Wilson here. So is this part of like anthropology course for you? Is this something about like some historical history class that you're taking, that this is required homework, that you would watch this game the ancients used to play, or is this by your own merit? 'Cause I'm very curious how a young person would decide to watch baseball. Like I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the MLB doesn't want me to be able to watch it because they're scheduling at times that only retirees can get to it. But no, it was my favorite sport growing up. Not these days, of course. But yeah, happy to support the Mariners. Got some exciting young players. J-Rod, it's really fun to watch. So yeah, not a huge baseball guy, but I'm a pretty big Mariners guy.
Love it. And it's funny, like my take is my favorite team by far is the Seattle Seahawks. My favorite sport by a bit is baseball, which is interesting. So I think I love the game of baseball. I think it's the most unique game out there. And it actually, in my opinion, creates the most amount of tension in any sport, which is super cool. But Adam, I know you're not here to talk baseball, talk Mariners. We are here to talk about our Seattle Seahawks. So let's go look at the videotape and what did we do last week, folks? So let's see. I'm going to pull this up. Let me know when y'all can see this on the screen. Cool. All right, awesome. So this week we got Adam wearing the little crown up there, the Trident crown. And for folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast, one of 5 unique shows that come out every single week. So subscribe, hit the button, hit the bell, give it a like. It helps it out. And I've been saying, hey, if all 12s share it with 2 other 12s, a lot more 12s going to raise the Hawkra. And raising the Hawkra together in terms of making some money is what we did this week across the board. Green, and not pictured. Mr. Brandon Schultz, who filled in live for Adam last week. Adam, you got your picks in, obviously, was also in the money in green. Now, maybe it's a little easier when your teams go, when you score 48 points and we're a bunch of homers and we're picking some of these things. However, we got to defer and say, hey, the new PNW Prop Star of the week is Adam, up $29. We only bet $31 a week, $31. I'll take it this time in homage of Cam Chancellor. 3 bets, bet 1, bet 2, bet 3, $10 a pop. Bet 4 is called our Fail Mary for $1. It's our dollar scratcher. And the only rules there is it has to be at least plus 1,200 or longer odds for the Fail Mary. And Adam, 3 out of 4, including the Fail Mary, for almost 100%, earnings, 94% basically winnings. Adam, of the 4 there, which one are you most proud of? What's the one you want to circle to take the square?
Oh boy. Let's see. What was my Fail Mary here? Because I'm on a tiny screen.
Each team, 2 touchdowns,
each team, 2
each
TDs.
half.
I'm actually the most proud of that one because I understand the odds were long on that one, but that just seemed like a no-brainer. I mean, you knew going into this game it was a defense optional bowl. And so yeah, I love that one. Although I do have to, flog myself a little bit because the one bet that I lost, I bet against my guy. I bet against Gino having a bunch of passing yards, and so I deserve the L on that first bet.
Yes, you deserve the L on that one. You're correct. And it was enticing though, because the odds makers, it was like every week Gino was like 208, 210, 215 for yards, and they jacked it to 254.5, enticing you to take the under. And then Gino jacked it right back and said, he still has it written back 320 something yards, and away he goes. And then Wilson, over to you, dude. So you could take it one way or the other. A disappointing one that you were like super locked in. You're like, yep, not surprised it hit. What do you want to say about your solid week there? Because again, you're in the green.
Yeah, happy to be in the green. Let me just say one thing about Adams first there.
Sure.
I was really rooting for him at the end of the first half there when the Lions punched that touchdown right at the end. Obviously, you don't want to see them score, but I was thinking, this would be really good. This would be really good for Adam to nail this one. So nice job on that one. I think the one that I'm disappointed with is my second bet. The first possession score. I mean, what was that? It was like one of our handful of stops in the whole game. And they ended up basically scoring on that possession anyways, although technically it is 2 different possessions.
Yes.
And yeah, that one's a little disappointing, but overall happy to stay in the green. Haven't been in the red yet this year, so would like to keep that going.
That's most impressive. And yes, for all those, the big debate is how bad was Seattle's defense, and I'm still going to carry the torch on Seahawkers podcast in general across our podcast that it was way better than people are saying, and I think it's going to start showing out. Yes, no, it's the truth.
No,
the truth.
It's not though.
No,
it
is.
So not the truth.
No. So, okay, real quick. First possession, they punt and Tyler gives it back. Cool. Second possession, you guys talked about this on the flagship show, and you just brushed over the fact that they converted a fake punt. That should not have been converted because it should have been friggin' offensive PI.
Okay, fine. They converted the fake punt, and then did they stop them after that?
No, but they got the stop.
I just wanted to say if we were going to gloss over some things.
No, but they got the stop. They had to get a fake punt to convert it. So anyway, it will start showing out. Actually, the Johnson injury, I think, is actually a bad one, unfortunately, because he was playing well, but that's okay. And then over to me. Hey, real quick, my top right, Disley over 15.5 yards. When your first bet cashes on like the first drive of the game, you take a victory lap. That's what you do. You take a. So I was very happy about that. I took some more risk down ticket. That's okay. Wilson and I end up with the exact same amount of cash in, but this is all about Adam, his first week as PNW Prop Star, and now the reigning PNW Prop Star. So he's going to have to bring it for week number 5 versus the Saints. So let us remove the graphic and get back to ourselves here, which will come up in a sec. The rules are, if you are the reigning champion, then you've got honors. So Adam, this week it is down number 1, which means bet number 1 is yours. What are you choosing and why?
All right. So my first down bet, I decided this week that I'm going to start organizing my bets in the least ballsy to most ballsy picks for first, second, and third down.
Sure.
So this is by far my least or my pick with the least amount of chutzpah here.
Ball.
And it's for the Seahawks to be over 1.5 TDs, and that's minus 210. So not amazing odds or anything like that, but it seems like a lock. They seem like they're going to score at least 2 TDs a game with the offense clicking like it is.
So Wilson, quick reaction to Adams. Hey, minus 210. Sure, you're paying a lot for that. Meaning, if you're betting 10, you're winning under $5. So it's gonna be like 4 something as a payout. But hey, you don't go broke taking a profit either. What do you think, Wilson?
Yeah, like you said, don't go broke taking a profit. I'm interesting. It's interesting to see. I think Adam and I are the only ones to hit Fail Mary so far this year, and we've had very different responses to approaching the next week. It seems like Adam is ready to just keep the profits flowing, and I was ready to take some shots. It didn't really pan out for me that great, so I like the strategy.
Nice. All right, so your first down is up. What do you got for us? Wait, I'm wrong. It's me. It goes to me. Adam is actually, for those who don't know, Adam and I share the exact same birthday, except we're separated by 1 year. I'm 1978 and he was born in 1979. So March 27th, we expect gifts, people. That's how it boils. All right. So my first down bet. Remember, we can take Saints props. We just can't bet the Saints to win and stuff like that because we're not jerks. That's not how we roll here. There is a Saints prop that I like straight away. As long as the dude plays, he's trending towards playing. Kamara, over 26.5 yards receiving. Got to pay 115 to get it. Last time Kamara played us, 10 receptions, 121 yards in a game where he was the only dude we had to stop last year, and we didn't stop him at all last year. Kamara has had his way with Seattle. I'm hoping it's less of his way, but 27 yards receiving, I like that at minus 115. So give me Kamara getting at least 27 yards out of the backfield receiving, and I'd like to cash that. And maybe I don't want to cash it in the first half, but I got a feeling I might.
Yeah, I mean, considering how we've defended Kamara the last couple of years, it's hard to imagine that it could get worse, but I think it will. We suck flat out. We can't defend running backs on the ground, and with a threat like Kamara through the air, I mean, who's going to guard him? Barton? Like, no.
Yeah, it could be a tough day there. All right, so Wilson, why don't you go and give us your first down bet number 1.
Well, I have Kamara factoring in a little bit later, but I'll start off. I went with tight end week 1, Parkinson. He came in clutch for me, and I've shied away from it since. And it's been a bad strategy. Clinton, I liked the Disley bet you went with last week, so I'm going to roll with that here. Disley over 2.5 receptions, and it's at plus 130, which I was particularly enticed by, just considering how quickly he kind of got off to the start there, and how the tight ends are really getting used by Geno, which I'm really liking. Now, maybe you get unlucky and he looks towards Fant or Parkinson more in this game, but at 2.5 and those odds, I feel pretty solid about that one.
Very nice. Adam, any reactions to what you heard before we rotate over?
Great minds think alike, and that was going to be my second down bet. So I'll scramble for another one here as we go. But
you can take it. There's no shame. There's no shame in that.
Clinton and I did that last week.
Yeah, we both had lock at 5.5, over 5.5, and it hit. So there is, hey, if you like it and you're already locked in on that, that's A-okay.
Yeah. All for the same reasons that Wilson listed there. The tight ends are being used a lot. It's clear that this team is comfortable with the idea of setting up the run game with the pass game and throwing a lot of the short pass games to kind of replicate the run game. And tight ends get used a lot for that. And, kind of kudos to you last week, Clinton, on your Disley bet. It kind of fell under the same thought process for me as that one. It happened early. I usually don't follow the bets throughout the game. I don't think that way. I'm locked into just football rather than the betting part. But I did see your guys' text, as that was happening early, and I was super fired up for you, man.
Yeah, I've been liking the tight ends across the board because of the way the formations, the way it's being used. Geno, it's been really, really, interesting. It was funny last week. Of course, I have DirecTV because I live in Connecticut, and meaning I have to get it somehow. And basically at kickoff, DirecTV decides to, pull a DK. It's got to hit a cart, gotta go. It just breaks up for a good maybe minute and a half. And then I'm in the Discord and people are like, like Clinton, I think you might have the Disley bet almost locked up. I'm like, well, at least there's that, which is a cool start. All right. So that, might as well roll with that. That's your second down bet. So I'll roll to my second down as well. And then we'll kick it to Wilson. I'm staying on the tight end train. And man, once I heard you guys say plus 130, I nearly winced with my bet, but it is what it is. It's the die is cast. So it's set in stone. My bet was almost the same exact bet, but it's Fant 2.5 receptions. But I'm at a measly plus 110. I feel like I'm getting chintz now. However, I like the idea. First of all, it's interesting that Vegas sees it that way. And why? Why did I didn't even see the Disley bet. I probably would have taken it. Interesting that I'm getting worse odds with Fant. But in my brain, I just think about the desire of the coaches to try and emphasize other dudes, to keep putting different things on tape, to keep using the triple formations and be like, no, this time that was meant for Fant. And Fant he only had one reception on the books last week, but he had that other one where DK and Penny Hart were called for offensive pass interference with heavy sarcastic quotes because that was ridiculous. So he would have had 2 catches last week. He's had 4 in this season, one other time, 3 another time. So I like Fant over, to get 3 receptions over 2.5, paying 110. Getting 110. I don't love it as much as what you guys are paid. I just think we are going to change it back up on purpose and get Fant some more attempts, literally to literally spread the wealth.
Hey, I'm rooting for you on that one, but I'm still not convinced that Fant is really fully integrated with what's going on yet. He did have the touchdown last week, but he had the 1 catch for 2 yards. So I'm rooting for you, but we'll see.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm rooting. That's the nice part, right? I'm rooting for you, so,
Yeah.
which is nice as well. All right. So Wilson, why don't you rotate over? Give us your down number 2 as well.
Well, if there's one thing I like to be on the show, it's negative about the Seahawks. I tried in the preseason to take the Steelers money line. I did, and it worked. I can't take the money line in this game. I won't. I actually think the Seahawks are going to win this game, but I will take the under on the Geno Smith passing yards this week, 242.5, and it's minus 115, paying a little bit, but the Saints have a top 10 pass defense in the NFL. And part of me thinks Geno just can't keep this up forever. I think he'll be accurate, but I don't think the openings will be there down the field. I think DK very possibly gets locked up by Lattimore. So, I don't feel amazing about the passing offense in this game. So I'll probably stick with the under on Geno's yards there.
Adam, what are you thinking about that? Because you guys talked a lot about Geno. Of course, we all did this week. But what are your thoughts on you basically took the same bet you took last week that you just got burnt on? So how's it hitting you?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense in the vein that the Saints defense is number 9 against the pass currently. And, you do kind of wonder, like, is this the real Geno? Like, is this what we're going to get week in, week out? But also, too, then I was trying to think back over the last 4 games as well. It's like, okay, so he struggled the most against the 49ers. But how many passing yards did he end up with against the Niners? I don't actually recall, but I know it was close to that 240 area. Like, it was definitely over 200. So if that's his worst game where they score 0 points and he was still moving the ball around, at least between the 20s, I think he could still pile up those yards. So that was the only reason I stayed away from that. Mm-hmm. But it did kind of tickle my brain like it did Wilson there. I thought heavily about it.
And just to give the stats against the Niners, he racked up 197, and the Niners are, they're, as we've seen, their defense is quite good. So, and at that point too, the offense was not quite as open yet, right? We saw it open up a bit more versus Atlanta, and we saw it open up quite a bit more versus Detroit. And of course, you take advantage of of who you're playing. So maybe it gets a little bit more constrained in week 5 with a much better team. We shall see. And Lattimore, besides that, guys remember that huge play to DK last year, which went for 80 something yards, the play of the year, just kind of a broken play. Lattimore gets tripped up and then DK is gone. Besides that, DK was kind of shut out the rest of that game. He didn't have a big game besides that. With that, DK has been going up against some of these ones, and he's winning. He's been winning. He's been doing well. So it'll be an interesting battle for certain. So I think actually we would have been rotating if we kind of broke cycle there with the Disley bets, which is okay. So Wilson, why don't you take third down, lead us out, and what do you got, dude?
Sure. So as we move through the season here, I'm starting to get better at using the DraftKings app. So I was looking through the alternate spreads, and like I said, I think the Seahawks are going to win. You can take the money line at 190, but I decided to go for Seahawks minus 2.5 at plus 236. Just get paid a little more. 2.5 and 1 point isn't really a huge difference. Kind of still gets you that it's a tied game late, winning field goal. You're still hitting that bet. So get paid a little more. Take minus 2.5. I feel better about this game than I did about the Detroit game. Oddly enough. Now that was before Amon-Ra went out, but even then, I like the Seahawks in this game, and I feel pretty decent taking that as a third down bet at plus 236.
An interesting number too, plus 236, right? So there, it's quite a number to come up with there.
It's very calculated.
Yeah,
237. I mean, they'd be paying out too much.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. So Adam, any reactions to? So Wilson's pretty bullish there, right? So he's the money line's paying fairly handsomely, and then he's basically giving away nearly a field goal there and saying we're still going to win this game to get some more Scadol in his bank account. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know if I feel better about this game than I did the Lions game, even with Amara, if he had played for the Lions. I think this Saints team's a more talented team and is underachieved. And they're coming off 3 straight losses. And usually a team like that's kind of due. We struggle mightily against the Saints. Kamara terrifies me. He absolutely terrifies me. I have nightmares about 3 times a month just about Alvin Kamara just running all over the place. Like I can't stand watching him play against us because he just tears us up. So I'm a little nervous about this, and that was the only reason that I wouldn't lay points against the spread here with the Seahawks. But then again, the Saints are coming back from London. They didn't take the bye week. They could be a little tired. Andy Dalton's going to be playing. This is a massive. You tell me whatever you want about this game, and I'll believe you.
Well, all right, then how about you tell us about down number 3, and maybe we'll believe you.
Yeah. So for my third down bet this week, and again, this is the one that I think has the most risk out of my, solid bets, not one of the Fail Marys. First New Orleans Saints drive to end in a field goal attempt. And the reason I choose that is that I still disagree with you, Clinton, about the defense, especially early in the game. Like, I think that they are not going to get a 3 and out. Like that feels 2 weeks in a row, they get a 3 and out on the first drive. Unlikely. And then if they do drive down the field, which they probably will, I do think that they can keep them out of the end zone with Andy Dalton pulling the levers back there. It's going to be a little more difficult for him to score in the red zone. And so all they have to do is attempt a field goal. They don't even have to make it. The odds are plus 310. So I thought that was a pretty good payout for something that I think has a decent likelihood to happen for the New Orleans Saints.
So I think what comes to mind for me is if Andy Dalton is as successful as Russell Wilson is in the red zone for the Broncos, then we're likely getting a field goal attempt there. And maybe this time, hey, it'd be lovely. What would be the best outcome? Let's play this out just for Fantasyland purposes. Yes. Whatever. Actually, no. See, team never defer. Seattle gets the ball. We go up 7-0. Bam. Let's go. We kick off. They piddle paddle down the stream there, and they attempt a short field goal because they stall out and they double doink it for nothing. You get paid. We're up 7-0. Getting the ball back. Can we all sign for that? I kind of took a similar path here. So my third down, I looked at again, we use DraftKings, we use FanDuel. This was on DraftKings in particular. And recently, for the folks out there, we've been using more and more DraftKings because they have more prop bets available sooner. We're recording this on Friday, and hey, there's more prop bets there, so we're gonna kind of play over there. So this one I liked. DraftKings does this thing where you could select the final band that you think your team or final score, whether it's just Seattle, just New Orleans, or a combined total, and you could select these kind of bands, the spectrum that you could live in and still win. So Seattle total points between 21 and 30 plus 170. I was like, that feels like a pretty good pocket. Now Vegas is expecting, the expectation is that Seattle scores around 20. So just around 20 points is what the odds makers are saying. I don't think the odds makers have caught up fully to Geno's season yet. And with that, the Saints are still pretty good. So I could see us cruising into 24, 28 points easily, landing that plane and paying me 170. You got to hit the one in the middle, but I like at 170. I kind of dug it. All right, Wilson, take it away. Let's see if we can get you.
Well, I got two Fail Marys now. One, I got plus 1,500 that Adam's Wi-Fi starts working again before the end of the show.
I like those odds.
My second one, I've got the nickname the Princetonian of parlays. I haven't thrown down a parlay yet this year. What's up with that? Well, I thought you couldn't make a parlay if you didn't have a DraftKings account. Turns out you can make the bet slip and just not place the bet, and it'll still show up there just fine. So I have a parlay this week. It's all about the running game. It's all about Kamara and Penny. I have Kamara, anytime touchdown. Kamara over 84.5 yards rushing. Penny, anytime touchdown. And Penny over 54.5. And that comes in at plus 2,200, which I thought was pretty good odds considering the bets. I'm a little shakier on the Penny side. I think the Kamara legs are going to hit fairly easily, to be honest, especially since it's anytime TD. So it could be a receiving TD too, which of course he's known to do. Penny, it could be close with the 54.5, but coming off the week he had, I think a huge swing in the other direction would be kind of quite unusual. So going with that, trying out some parlays. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if I deserve the nickname come next week.
Yeah, I think it was very prescient that you earned the nickname before even placing a parlay, even a single parlay, which is good. The alliteration aside, well, no, it was really just all about the alliteration. Let's be fair, which is all good, dude. But it's fun one. I do not think Kamara gets to 84.5 yards. That's the part that I think busts for you. And I won't be cheering for you because that one's just, it's only $1. So you could live. But that one's just that's, if he gets 84, 85, because the reason I think that is because he doesn't get that many, he gets touches, but rushing touches, usually, last year they spiked him and his efficiency plummeted.
Yeah.
When he was like his best, 3-4 years ago, 2 to 4 years ago, he was in that 10 to 12 touches, and he would still sometimes put up those numbers, but he kind of hasn't done that recently if he only gets 12 carries.
Yeah.
However, they're running a little thin back there. If he only gets 10 or 12 carries and smashes that, we have other problems we're going to talk about next week on the other shows. So, but it's cool. But at plus 2,200, hey, again, $1 wins you $22. It's a worthy scratcher. I had a parlay myself here, my man.
Oh.
So I had Seattle money line. I didn't jack it any further than that. Just Seattle money line to start it off, which just means Seattle wins the game and I win that part of the bet. I also had an anytime Penny touchdown, which I thought is got some likelihood. And then I threw in this little dash here, Wilson. And I said the word dash. Geno, 20 yards or more rushing. So I guess 20.5 yards is the win. If he rushes for over 20 yards, then I'm at plus 1,300. So I sneak in there. So Penny, anytime touchdown, Seahawks to win the game, and Geno to go for at least 20.5 yards. And I hit at plus 1,300. I thought the three of them were not equally like as individual pieces. I was like, okay, I could see these actually happening. And I didn't think they were too bizarre to put them into a blender. And let's see, Adam looks like he's back. That means Wilson might've hit his prop already. Look at this. The guy's hitting it. Adam, how you doing, dude? You back?
I don't know. You tell me. Am I back?
Yeah, the audio's there.
He's back.
Audio's there. The video's a little laggy, but it doesn't matter. You look great. You look bright. You look bushy-tailed. So before we lose you, let's get your Fail Mary, because hey, you hit it last week. Can you go 2 weeks in a row with the Fail Mary?
I wanted to try a parlay because I've never done one, and I know that they pretty much will never hit. But this is just more for funsies, and I don't care if it's just a waste. It's a $1 bet, right?
Correct.
So it's Kenneth Walker anytime TD, plus Geno over 250 yards, plus Penny alternate rushing line of over 65 yards, plus Tyler alternate receiving yards over 70 plus. So like I'm just banking on the offense balling out again, and the odds are plus 1,300.
You know what? It's remember a couple of years ago. Geez, no, 2012. So a little longer than a couple of years ago. 2012 when our former quarterback really started to come into his own, kind of like 3/4 of the way through the season. We just started putting 50 burgers up on people. It was like whatever, 2-3 weeks in a row of just 50 burger, 50 burger, 50 burger. And then we got hot and rode that into the playoffs. It took a while for, I think it took a while for the national media to catch up with like, oh, wow, this Seattle team could do what they want whenever they want to. And that was Marshawn Lynch, like peak Marshawn, and Russ coming into his own, et cetera, et cetera. I think a bet like this, Adam, where you're just banking on the wave of like, hey, this offense could probably move the ball regardless of who they're playing. Now it's going to be some variance of like Lions to, 49ers, of course, but the stuff you just spit out there, none of that's inconceivable. Like Walker to get his first touchdown. Sure. Penny over 65. He should. Lockett, he does that every week now. Over 70. And of course, Geno over 250 be a nice game versus New Orleans, but none of that's out of the realm. So I like the compilation you put together there, man. That's it's quite the ensemble. I do dig it. So Wilson, I must say, out of all of our Fail Marys, yours will probably hit now, but that's the one that's the dollar I put back in my pocket.
Fair enough.
Yeah, which is okay. But that's why it's a dollar scratcher, right? Yeah. And that's why we keep things so simple here. $10 for bet 1, bet 2, and bet 3, that $1 for the Fail Mary, so that when we compile it later and say, how do we do? It's super easy math, because let's be fair, besides Wilson, I don't want math being thrown at me, and Adam, I understand. I don't think you want the math being thrown at you either. So with that, fellas, anything on the game itself? I'll toss it to you first, Adam, as we head down to New Orleans. Anything in particular you want to take it from the angle of the bets we're talking about, or just the game in general? What are you excited to kind of put your peepers on?
Well, if Kamara comes out rusty, and he hasn't seemed in sync with this offense all year, with Sean Payton at the helm now, or no longer at the helm now, and Dennis Allen now the head coach. If we get that Kamara this week, this could be a relatively easy win for the Seahawks, because this version of Andy Dalton, I know he was fine last week. I mean, he dinked and dunked his way into, just under the Dalton zone, and that's fine. But yeah, I kind of think that if we were ever going to get over on this guy, meaning Alvin Kamara, I think this is the week to do it. A little rusty. Rest of the team's tired after traveling. New coach, hasn't had a great season. Still has a suspension lingering over his head, I think. Or that whole situation that happened this offseason just doesn't seem to be locked in. Man, and how amazing would it be to be 3-2 in this division after this week, and then also to watching the Broncos increase our draft pick on Thursday night was great. So yeah, I kind of like the Hawks to win this game, although I'm still like mightily worried about it.
Spoken like a true Seahawks fan, right? All you got to do now, Adam, is get on Twitter, and you'll fit right in with the rest of Seahawks Twitter. All right, Wilson. So, last thoughts about this game before we wrap for today.
Ryan Neal.
Yes, simple.
That's
right?
all.
You want more Ryan Neal to try and solve some of these woes. I don't blame you. My last thought is, it's funny. Last week you got folks like Rob Staten and even like Hawk Blogger talking about like, should this be last week? Should this be Pete's last year? Should Pete be on the hot seat? Why isn't Pete on the hot seat? And then now, like literal talk of Carroll as coach of the year, like literally, because of what we see with Russ and what we're seeing with Geno. And we're at 2-2. And Adam, I think you like to point out, often the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? Probably somewhere in the middle of those bombastic extremes. And with that, somewhere in the middle, very much feels to me like Seattle could win this game. And I don't think it's an easy game. I don't think it's a cakewalk. It'd be great if it is. If we win by 11, 31, 20, I'll be like, wow, something's happening here. But it doesn't matter. It's a road game versus a good defense. You get the W any which way you can come Sunday, and it's a huge one. It's a huge one. So yeah. I'm very excited to keep the Pete Carroll Coach of the Year mantra going, and the MV Geno talk that's all of a sudden in the ether. Why not already?
I want to throw in one more thing there real quick, Clinton.
Sure.
Two stats you got to know for this game. Of course, we all know under Carroll, the Seahawks are 14-1 now in the 1 p.m. kickoffs. And the Saints have never beaten the Seahawks at home after coming back from London the previous week. So that's all you got to know. The numbers say Seahawks are winning this game.
Look, of course, the Princetonian of parlays throwing the math at us to end this week's week 5 preview, PNW Prop Stars bet show. Gentlemen, with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Just say it.
Let's say it. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks and Mariners.
Yep, let's go Mets.